welcome to my video today. We are going to take a look at Kayla's album. This is a project that I've been working on in the month of July, and I have hit a roadblock. So I want to talk through this. There's not going to be anything creative happening in this video today, but we're going to talk about some things to do when you hit a roadblock. So if you're not familiar with what I'm doing, or I mean, even if you are, let's just recap the situation. So I have albums, okay, let's start over. Rewind. What I would like, let's start with like, what is the goal? Like, what is, what does the end result look like? For me, I want the end result to look like albums, 12 by 12 albums for my kids from the time they were born until their senior year of high school. And my goal is to have between 6 and 8 albums. I think probably for Kayla, she might end up with closer to 10 because I have so many traditional albums for her. And this is the one that we have been working on. I've put a lot of work into this. This is her first year album. Okay, so that's where we're at. And let's just take a look at how I put this together. Now, some of the things that I'm facing is doing this from the beginning, right? Putting this together from the beginning, but also working on currently. So it's like I'm going back and I'm doing currently. I'm going back and I'm doing currently. That in itself can be a struggle for sure. So where we left off is I put this together. So my goal for the very beginning of her album is, here's a title page. Then this is going to be family history. This is going to be like history of her mom and dad, us dating, probably a wedding photo, and then expecting her, and then this is her first year pages. Okay, so this is all done pocket in the pockets, right? The project lifestyle. Now I had an email, it was a fairly long email that I got asking about, the basic question was mixing pages. So mixing everything from pocket to traditional to other sizes. So if you will see, let me find it. It might be, oh, right here. So you can see here right in the middle, I have another size right in the middle of this traditional layout. So they were asking about this and asking how to make it seamless, because that could be hard. So one of the roadblocks that I face, one of the things that can really throw you off is the amount of things, right? It's like we have all of these things that we want to include, and it can really become difficult if you want to do traditional style layouts, but then you have all these photos or all this information. You can see here, when I do the family history, a lot of these slots are going to be information. I'm going to be typing things out or writing things out. So I encourage you to do all of the different things, right? Just embrace whatever works. For the beginning of this album, it's really going to work for me to have everything in pockets. And it's going to be less intimidating if I do, okay, when dad was younger, right? When mom was younger. I have photos for both of us when we were younger, how mom and dad met. Like, these are very prompt-based cards that are going to guide me through. I don't have to come up with anything. I don't have to figure out what to say. Like, the cards are going to guide me. That's wonderful. However, I have these traditional pages that I love, right? And they're great. I can add them in here. Find a way to make it work. Okay, that's like the next tip, is find a way to make it work. These layouts were not true 12 by 12. When I changed them into the ring bound, I had to figure out a way to make them more, you know, 12 by 12 to fit into the page protectors. So I just added white cardstock behind them. And that's where I was last time, is I was taking the pictures of the Project Life and the Project Life app and putting them in there. I have not got those printed yet because I still have a very small stack that needs to get photographed, and Kayla's gonna help me with that. So that needs to be on my list for this week, is to get those photographed so I can get a order in for the Project Life app. Now, if you have not seen what I'm doing here, how I'm condensing some of her layouts in here, you're gonna wanna go back and watch the very last video, and it shows you, I go into the Project Life app, I show you exactly what I'm going to be doing. So there's some slots here that will need those Project Life app prints slid in. And one of the things that I said in the last video is I am very worried about how thick this album is. This is without the prints. So I just don't think that there's any possible way that her entire first year, plus the little bit of pocketed stuff that's in here, I don't think it's all gonna fit into one album. That's fine. I'm not doing like year one, like album is year one. I'm just doing volume 1, right? So it doesn't, I'll just continue on to her album. So if I end up having to take things out from November and put it into the second album, that's okay. Her second album will just start. So that's where I am with these layouts. I do really like the way this turned out, and seeing these layouts in here, and it was not that difficult to attach them to the white cardstock. I do think it adds a little something. Some of them didn't need it. This particular layout was already true 12 by 12. Again, I was coming from a post-bound album into a D-ring album, so that made a difference. I like that all the page protectors are now uniform. I use the Becky Higgins page protectors and the Allie Edward page protectors. Those are really the only page protectors I use in my albums. So I like that they all match, meaning this piece here that has the holes in it to put into your album, different brands are going to be different sizes. So I always like to use the same page protectors. The other thing is that the quality of them, some of them will be thinner, some of them will be cloudy. I had some that were, compared to the Becky Higgins one, were very cloudy looking. So that's something to consider. So I do love all of that, and I think this is great. There are a few places where not only do I need to drop Project Life app pages, but there is, I think it's over here, there is some journaling that I need to do, and that will be fine. So that is her first year album, right? Which was huge, getting all of these out, getting the layouts out, putting them on white cardstock, getting that situated, and then getting the way I wanted this first album to, the layout of it, that was really huge, right? So here's where I've hit a roadblock. So that's her first album. I definitely will probably need to take stuff out, filter it into the second album, which is fine. But here's where the real roadblock comes. You're gonna see this says Violet. It's not Violet's. This is just like the photo that comes in the album. And then I had put Violet here, but this is not Violet's album. This is Kayla's second year album. So it starts with January, and I did the calendar, and I did it in several different ways as we went into her second year. Now, here's the problem. This goes through May, I think. June. So this goes through June. I have no idea where the second half of her second year album is. I don't know where the layouts are at. So let's just take a look at this. This is, I mean, I was still doing traditional. We didn't have pocketed pages. It wasn't a thing when I was doing this. You can see even here, that because this is a post-bound album, you can even see right here where it's not true 12 by 12. So I'm definitely going to have to add white cardstock like I did, but you can see her first birthday. The pages started getting more elaborate. You can see this was really fun to do. I remember doing this one. Also, you will start to notice that there becomes single layouts. So as opposed to every single layout being a double-sided layout, you can see that I start doing single layouts. I sort of embrace that. First birthday. And then, like, here's the way I did the calendar for February. I just did a list and I listed things out. That was just a different way. So then here's February. So then there's nothing until April. So I apparently did not do anything for March. I don't even have a calendar for March. And then Easter. We did a couple things. Here's May. Then here's where I just wrote on the calendar. I just had like a template and then I just hand wrote. I hand wrote some journaling. Now I can tell this was written in a Sharpie, which is a Sharpie will yellow after you know, some time. So, you know, that's probably something to consider. And then here's some typed out journaling. And then here's June, which is so cute. You can see I was using my Cricut a lot more. I had really started getting into that. And then that's it. I don't know where the rest of her layouts are. I have no idea. So that's like the number one roadblock is as I pulled this out, I realized, okay, it's totally fine. I just need to put these layouts onto white cardstock. And I want to assume that the rest of the year is the rest of her second year is probably traditional pages. I just don't know where I would have put those or what would have happened to them. I don't have any other albums anywhere. So I just need to dig through her pink album, see where things are at. So that's the first roadblock, or it's probably one of many roadblocks, right? But that can be a situation when you don't have everything and you have to go dig through stuff. It really can put it can really create a struggle, right? So how am I going to tackle this? This is really like, I'm doing this video because I wanted to do these videos for you in real time and tackling the things that really came up. So at this point, I feel pretty flustered. So the first thing I need to do, or maybe not the first thing, here are the things I need to do. I need to finish taking photos of those layouts. I probably have about 20 layouts that I need to take photos of and get them into the Project Life app and get that printed so that the first album, I can really see where I'm at. And then I already have a couple of the navy blue albums on hand that are empty so that I can shuffle things around. So photograph the layouts, get them into the Project Life app, and then get an app order, order the prints. Okay, so that's a step all in itself. The next thing I need to do is try to figure out where the second half of this year is at, and then I need to get all of these onto white cardstock and then get them into the second album. Like get a second album started, and then see how I need to break it up. If I need to bring some over from the first album and combine it with this. It looks like I did less layouts. They were getting more elaborate. Obviously, I was using my Cricut a lot more. What would also end up happening, probably the second half of her first year, is I would end up getting pregnant. I would have a miscarriage, and then I would get pregnant with Violet. And then when Violet was born is when I was very sick and in a coma for several weeks after Violet was born. And so my layouts, I start getting more like behind with traditional layouts. And as I was doing things more, they were more elaborate. I was being more creative. I was really falling in love with this hobby. It was also around this time I started my YouTube channel. So things start to get a little bit crazy. So I do need to find the other half of her second year. And I need to get all of these out and get it onto white cardstock. So that's going to be the plan. So that's going to be the plan for going forward. This week, I'm going to take the photos of the layouts and get an app and get them into the Project Life app and order the prints so that I will have that. The next thing that I'm going to do is get these out of this album and on white cardstock and into a second navy album, blue navy album. Okay. So next week, what I'm going to do is for the month of August, I'm going to continue on this project. I really had hoped that I would be a lot farther along with Kayla's album by the end of July. My goal was to do that in June and July, and then in August I would magically be done. But that's not what happened. We've dealt with some really major heat here in California. I know you guys are tired of me talking about it because it has been a struggle in July. And then now we also have a California wildfire that is it's not close to us in that it's threatening, but it is close enough that we have family and friends that are dealing with it. We're starting to get a little bit of the smoke from it. It's always very scary. We've had so many wildfires this year, and several of them have been right in our area. There was one day where a fire broke out on this side of our town and this side of our town, and I thought, oh wow, this could go really bad. Our town is really small. It's like 800 people. We live in the middle of nowhere. It's like country. It's ranches and cattle and agriculture and wineries, and there's just a lot where when fires start, they can very quickly become very scary. So I just have not worked on this as much. So I'm going to keep going because I really want before the end of this year. Sometimes you have to move your goal, right? Like your goal timeline. Sometimes instead of being discouraged about, well, I didn't get it done by, the end of July, it's not done. Instead of letting that be really discouraging, I'm just going to move my timeline and say, okay, by the end of the year, what I would really like is at least all of her albums to be laid out. Like, here's, her first album, her second album, her third album, and where I can filter things in because I have so much stuff to filter into these albums. The other thing that can be hard is, I'll mention this is the very last thing that can be hard, is if you're working currently and you're working on the past. So right now, these are past albums. This one here, and then this one here, they are obviously past albums. They are really a long time ago. We're talking 15 years ago albums. I also am keeping current with her album. So I'm working on stuff in my day-to-day, on a daily basis, that is her actual current stuff. Now, in the membership that I have here on YouTube or over on the website, some of the things I'm going to be sharing in there is her current pages or her current album. There's some things I need to filter into there and sort of get a better handle on because I've shifted, right? I've shifted to her past albums. I've been staying organized, but not getting everything in there. So I want to do that this month. And that can just be a struggle. Your mind switching back and forth between current and the past. And that's okay. It's okay that can be a struggle. I just need to shift gears and be like, okay, I need to just make sure that I'm keeping all of her stuff organized and it's getting in her album, because the thing that I don't want to happen is this, where I'm like, where's half the year? Where's this thing? Where's that thing? I want to stay very organized so I have it as I'm working on this project. So next week when we dive into this, I will have all of these layouts out of this album and on white cardstock. I will either have found the other layouts or I will have not. We'll have to see. And then the other thing we're going to do next week is the beginning of this. We're going to get all of the photos that we need for this, and I'm going to drop them in here. And I'll probably shift this album around a little bit because I will have these layouts to go into the next album. So that's what I'm going to do next week. So in the comments below, I would love for you to let me know what roadblocks come up for you when you're working on a project, any project at all, but particularly if you're going back and trying to do something from the past, what hangs you up? What roadblocks happen? Would be my first question. And then second, is there something that keeps you from doing it? Like, this was totally keeping me from working on it the last week and a half or so, is I knew I needed to get into this and pull these out. And I also know that I need to photograph those other layouts, and it's really keeping me from working on it. It's just stressing me out, right? It's just, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so tedious. Oh my gosh, I don't know where those layouts are. Oh my gosh, I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know how to get the layouts out of the first album. It's too big now. Like, I just start in my mind making it worse. So we're just diving in. That's what I'm going to do this week. I'm going to come back next week. If you have things on your mind about tackling a past project or what's keeping you from it, or if you have a thought or questions about mixing traditional layouts with pocketed layouts, leave it in the comments below because I will tackle that in next week's video. So I'm looking forward to now having a game plan, right? And diving in next week. Really, it'll be over the next few days, I will start doing that, and then you'll see the progress next week. But I'm excited to have a plan. I feel like just having a plan and talking through this and making myself do the video is already helpful. There was part of me that was like, there's no point in doing a video because I don't have anything to show. Like, there's not this perfect wrap up or the perfect next step, but that's not always how these work. So I hope you don't mind with this project, and I will catch you in my next video, which will probably be next week. If you are in the membership or new to the membership, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. There will be a whole bunch of membership stuff that will be happening. There will be 2 videos up for that. I will have my Blessed to Scrap workshop with traditional layouts, and then I will also have the kids' pages and what's happening with that, along with my one little word set up for the month of August. So thank you guys so much. I will catch you in my next video. I hope you're all having a great end to July, and we'll kick off August next week in my next video. Thank you, everyone. I'll catch you next week.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Here on the screen are 2 other videos you can check out. Please make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content like this. YouTube is always much nicer to me when you subscribe and hit that like button. So thank you so much, and I'll catch you in my very next video.